Hey guys, this is a new section of Spud Duds that I like to call 100%. Oh no, wait, that's the old stuff. We call it the complete menu. And pretty much what this segment is just us going through the games that we've LP'd before and showing off anything that's 100%, or not in the traditional sense. Sometimes there's no counter like in this game that you're seeing on the screen. There's no 100% criteria, but anything that I might consider 100%. So right now we're doing Super Mario Bros. 1 on the Anniversary Edition, All Stars Anniversary Edition, and we're doing it on hard mode. As you saw in the intro panels, there's not much different in this. The story is the same. You run through 8 worlds and you rescue the princess, and you can, well, I think you're stuck as Mario in single player, but if you go to second player, you can play as Luigi. The enemies, all the Goombas are now Buzzy Beetles, which makes the game a bit harder in that sense. And the fire bars in the castles appear at all possible locations, so that makes it a bit more cramped, but what we're seeing here is just a simple run through. I've edited out pretty much all the deaths, so this isn't as flawless as you would think it is. And I guess there's not much to guide through. You just basically play the game. Play the game again, and don't be an idiot like me and hitting nearly everything in sight. I think I'll be Small Mario for the majority of this. But a good strategy I would employ is to avoid actually setting off the Buzzy Beetles as much as possible, because that's the problem with Koopa Troopers. They are vulnerable to fireballs. So if you ever happen to get Fire Mario and the shell's sliding your way, you can at least use a fireball to nuke it, and there's that problem solved. But Buzzy Beetles are impervious to fire. So you set one going, it's going to ricochet off a wall and come back and hit you in the ass, so it's best not to set those off. I mean, get the initial bounce, but after that just just don't let them slide around all over the place. Or if in this level where there's a lot more bottomless pits, just let them slide right off there. Another addition is that you can see up here, the Koopa Troopers, wherever they may be, move a lot faster. So it does make the green ones sliding off to their death easier, because they get to it quicker, but the red ones are a bit of a problem in this sense, because they know how to, turn a 180. The little star icon, oh, that's glorious. Didn't realize I left that in there. Regarding lives, whenever you die in the All Stars version, you get sent to the beginning of the world. So it does save your progress in that sense. It doesn't, like the original, it doesn't boot. Unlike the original, it doesn't boot you back to the beginning of the game once you get a game over. So it's a bit forgiving in that sense. But you do want to clear the 4 levels that make up a single world on one set of lives. This is saying before, here we go. Here's an instance of all the fire bars appearing. I don't exactly remember the layout of 1.4 from before, but those grey blocks where the fire bars originate from, that's where their origin is. So I think in the initial one there might be just less. Definitely a lot less in this corridor, given this is the first castle. It's not going to be that hard. But every grey block has a fire bar sprouting out of it, but in the regular game mode there probably wouldn't be this many. But as you can see, hard mode is not that hard. nothing else changes. And also, the elevators, like the one that was just hovering over Bowser, and the ones that go up and down in World 1, 2, and so on, they're a bit smaller, like 60% smaller, but that doesn't really change anything because the elevators are probably like 3 times the size of Mario to begin with, making him maybe twice the size of Mario, lengthwise I mean. Wouldn't make much of a difference. Yeah, so in this enclosed space, getting that Buzzy Beetle to go back and forth is not a good idea. But as you saw there, this game has a bit of off-screen. So, if the gap is wide enough, like the enclosure we just jumped out of right now, you could off-screen the shell before it even comes back. So there's something you can use to your advantage. Or another technique like that is using another shell to bounce it off. We've got some bonus levels. They're nothing too complicated. I think these bonus levels get more and more complicated as the game goes on, but I don't think we had too much in the initial playthrough. There's the simple ones like this where it's just a line of coins, and then later on it gets... you have to be dodging opposite moving platforms and stuff like that. But there's no penalty for dying in a bonus room, you just fall down to the stage. But it does act as a kind of warp even if you fall very early on in a bonus stage. Say down the first possible pit, you will be warped to the exact same location as if you'd completed it, like I had in that showcase over there. Here we go, the first water level. I'm not sure if hard mode affects the behavior of the bloopers, but I mean, one trick I used in the initial run through and the one trick I'm using now is just to walk along the bottom. They will stop exactly one Mario above you, as you can see here, and they keep moving left and right. And what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to draw all 3 so I can walk right out from under them and just quickly swim up. That is the easiest way to not get hit. It is time consuming, but it's 100% safe. It's never failed unless you're locked yourself in an impossible situation. I mean, you could attempt to swim now, or maybe 10 seconds before, and navigate through that maze, but you know, it's better to draw them all to one location. I mean, nothing is easier than a completely empty ocean, right? But watch out for the green fish. The red fish, the red cheap cheeps, they swim in a straight line, but the green ones do too, but they kind of dip up and down a little bit. And if their eyes are kind of one square above you, they might slightly dip down just enough to hit you, and you'll never see it coming because it's so gradual. It's not at all noticeable. Actually, looking at the red cheap cheeps, they do that too, so just keep an eye out for the cheap cheeps when they're coming your way. Make sure you got plenty of space. That didn't happen. What are you talking about? Flawless run. And here I've been conditioned to jump at the top of the flagpole, even though this game doesn't really give you a reward for that. Just maximum of 5,000 points. But we all like points, right? Useful. Well, this level's surprisingly easy though. Just always make sure that the road is clear before you go dashing ahead, because it can random Koopa Trooper can throw you off, even if the fish never get a chance to hit you. And that's it, we're done. up where the world icon is telling you the name of the level, there's a little star. That star is just an indicator that you're in hard mode right now. A little trick I found in this one is to, stand on the block and jump. You'll dodge the fireball every time, so that you can... What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the mushroom out of this block, because I want to be larger. And I believe I get hit anyway. But probably if I attempted that jump, a small Mario might have died, so at least there's that. And here we go, here's a instance you can see on the right, the elevator is being a bit smaller. But as you can see, there's room for about 2 Marios over there, so it's not really a problem. I guess if you played this game enough and you've been conditioned to run and jump at a specific time after running on a lift, that might throw you off, but you can see what's going on. It's not a random curveball, it's not like they shrink in size while you step on them, so... Honestly, the biggest hurdle would have to be the Koopa Troopa's increased speed, because everything else is manageable. And from what I recall of the playthrough, the Buzzy Beetles are kind of placed not too frequently in groups, so that you could just jump over them and not even get them into their shells, just avoid them. Play the pacifist run of this game, and then they'll never be a problem, because they won't retract into their shell and they won't ricochet off walls and they won't kill you. But to go back to what's on screen, I did get a little lucky there by bouncing off the bottom of the elevator and smacking underneath Bowser. That was actually pretty lucky. In the initial game, I might be wrong on this information. Hold on, actually, let me check. Yeah, some levels are harder versions of the ones before, and they are... How that works is an example, in the main game, 5-3 is a harder version of 1-3. And so, I think, while it looks familiar with the snow aesthetic and the Buzzy Beetles everywhere, I think 3-1 might be an easier version of 5-1, but in hard mode, they jump the queue in the sense that the hard modes versions of the levels come first, so you get duplicates really. If in the main game you got 1-3 and 5-3 that are harder and easier versions of each other, in the hard mode 1-3 and 5-3 are exact duplicates. Granted, that doesn't happen too much, these levels are varied enough. And I do praise the All-Star version for giving a nice aesthetic. Like, I do not believe there was a snow and a glittering sky in the World 3. In the NES version. Oh, here we go, Superstar. So, I believe in this game you do not get the combos, you just... for running through with a star. Later games do that, but you got to be in the air to receive combo points, so if you're running along the floor and you're invincible, it's not going to give you a 1-up after about 8, or sometimes even less than that. Depending on the game, it's a little easier. So I guess just take that. Take the star, and, run like crazy, but not too crazy. You don't want to fall off a pit. I'm not sure if these are the elevators that are affected by the decrease in size. Oh, that was nice. Yeah, so on a small platform like this, with the Koopatroos running really fast, that can throw you off on the timing, because my strategy is to jump on the platform and then jump one more time to subdue them, but they move much faster than that. That could be a problem. That definitely should have given me a 1-up. Not sure what the point of the, not sure what the incentive is for reaching the flagpole if they do all this setup where they have a pile of bricks that lead up to a staircase that will enable you to jump to the top, but they don't give you anything for it. I guess this was back in the day where points meant something, and I guess you could go around and brag. Oh look, I got 98,400 points in Mario Bros. And then they would say, oh, nobody cares. The Potobos, I believe they're called, their speed isn't, or pattern doesn't change throughout the hard mode. But as usual, when you get close to Bowser, he starts spewing fireballs. Usually when I take a hit, I just say fuck it, and I just use the invincibility frames to go through. And that's already 3 worlds done. A nice little feature in the All-Stars version, every time you rescue toads, the amount of toads that pop out are respective to the world you're in, so was at the end of World 3, so 3 toads came out. I believe that does stop after 6, and obviously World 8 is Peach, unless, I don't know, 8 Peaches came out. At least that would be, you know, consistent. World 4 is it's not too bad. You got Lakita throwing stuff all the time, but you know, you can just keep running and you'll make it easy. Before the Spinies even hit the ground and start running, because they fall faster than they crawl. Here I am trying to get some extra coins, because I definitely will get a game over before World 8. These enclosed little claustrophobic spaces are not the best when you've got buzzy beetles everywhere. I did manage to pull that off, but there'll be something. I definitely will not be staying as large Mario the whole way. Or Super Mario, my bad. I'm not taking any chances. Once I get the Fire Flower, I start nuking everything. And I've lost it. There it is. I believe, yeah, 4-2 along with 1-2 are both points where you can warp, and where the elevators were going up, you can run along the ceiling. You would get to this part, and then you would hop across and run along the ceiling a bit more, and then you'd come across to a warp pipe. Now you can't see the warp pipe from this point of the level. I'm making a point not to take any of the warp zones, because that's not really a hard mode run, especially if you take the one to 1-2, skip to world 4, take the one in 4-2 and skip to world 8. In about 5 minutes you'd already be almost done, and that wouldn't be much of a video. Unless I was showing off the warp zones. But I believe we've already done that initial run. I had Pierre take that. I had Pierre take the warp zones while I tackled the main level. And I believe I caught up by the time he started to get the groove of world 8-3, I think it was. Oh, that was a glorious playthrough. Definitely recommend it, one of our funnier ones. As you can see, I'm getting paranoid here. These lifts give way a lot earlier than what I think they do. And, yep, I think I've dicked myself out. Curious to see what I want to do. There was nothing else for it. Geronimo! Yeah, never stay on those seesaw platforms for too long. And there's a teeny bit of momentum, like once you get off they don't immediately stop, they do kind of like that, they kind of carry on, but luckily there was enough space to get through. So kind of jump off earlier than what you think. All that prep and nothing to show for it, it's terrible. And here we go, the last fortress, or at least a world 4. I believe this one's a puzzle one. Yeah, so first section you have to run along the top, and then the second section I believe you have to run through this, no, I believe it's through the bottom, but I think I'm going to get it wrong. Yep, I've gotten it wrong. So this one has 3 pathways. You gotta take, I think, the top. Now I'm not sure, I'm just gonna say which one it is when I get it right. Yeah, it was the bottom, I was sure. So the first section you run through the top, the next section you run through the bottom, and the level does loop every time you get it wrong. And then you're at the boss. I'm getting really lucky with these fights. Either I'm not getting hit at all, or I've just got enough superpower to take advantage of the invincibility frames. I believe this is the last part of this video, so well, I'll see you guys next time for the second half of Mario Super Hard Mode.